How long do you think you'd keep your job if your behavior at work made the news and federal judges openly criticized you? Well, what if your boss publicly admitted you had a bad reputation?
For most of us, the answer is simple. We'd be out of a job, but not if you're a powerful federal prosecutor.
That is the focus of tonight's KCTV5 investigation. Here is Angie Riccono. This is Tara Moorhead. We've done several reports on her. That's because she's accused of unethical behavior and pressuring witnesses to win her cases. Her boss was recently questioned about her under oath. It's awkward. We'll get to that. First, you are going to meet a single mother who says Tara Moorhead destroyed her life.
I'm so angry that I have to push it down because I wouldn't be able to function with what I have. I lost so much.
Latasha Temple's nightmare began in 2007. Federal agents called it Operation Stonewalled. It involved cocaine.
I was in a relationship with him.
Latasha's then boyfriend and people he knew were arrested. She was arrested too. She swears she wasn't a part of it and had no idea. While waiting for trial, she says other inmates asked, "Who's your prosecutor?" It was Tara Moorhead.
Oh Lord, they was like, she is like the devil.
It's an allegation few people believed, even Latasha's own family.
This gonna blow over, you know, it didn't.
Latasha was convicted and did 8.5 years in federal prisons far from her children, including Waseca, Minnesota and Lexington, Kentucky. While she was in prison, she got a letter from a man who testified against her. To make a long story short, they told me that if I didn't cooperate with them, they were going to make sure my sister got at least 10 years. They even threatened to bring charges against my mother, who knew nothing of the dealings. The letter mentions prosecutor Tara Moorhead 12 times. Other affidavits followed. Another eyewitness claimed he was forced to embellish testimony. In order to make it look good for the jury, in order for me to get the time off, I had to do some lying. A third eyewitness claims he had to be shown a picture of Temple before trial so he'd know who to point at in court. I was told to lie so that Mr. Wesley, Miss Temple, and Mr. Foy could get the most time possible once they were found guilty.
I get emotional every time because to remember, like, I look at my kids and I'm like, 8.5 years, I lost a view.
Latasha has affidavits. She feels time has revealed a pattern. Other people have accused prosecutor Moorhead of leveraging her power and threatening witnesses to get the testimony she wants to win a case. Lamont McIntyre spent 23 years in prison for a crime he didn't do.
Someone has something to say to you.
Eyewitness Nico Quinn says Moorhead threatened she'd lose her children if she didn't testify against McIntyre in court.
I forgive you. I've been forgave you a long time ago.
McIntyre hugged and forgave her within minutes of his release.
You don't have to worry about that. Real, you let that go.
This concerns Tara Moorhead. Here's KCTV5 months later with a new report, same prosecutor. A judge threw out a conviction and blocked a new trial because of Moorhead's behavior in a different case. In the years that followed, judges gave additional reprimands, as prosecutor Moorhead was accused of accessing private phone calls between defendants and their attorneys. That's not allowed. This summer, a federal judge reduced a sentence by half, pointing a critical finger at prosecutor Tara Moorhead. The court finds she failed to disclose the whole truth to defense counsel, and that is not acceptable conduct for any prosecutor. Moorhead has been quietly moved from the criminal side to the civil side of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Recently, her boss, acting U.S. Attorney Dustin Slinkard, was questioned about her in a deposition. Her reputation and her veracity, meaning her truthfulness. Here's his response. On balance, I think her reputation is poor for veracity. Her reputation for veracity is poor? On balance, I believe that would be the consensus of the legal community, based as much on quantity, perhaps, as quality. but just relaying my sense.
How is that possible? I ask myself, how is it possible that you could have such an opinion, such a low negative opinion?
Meet Bennett Gershman, a nationwide expert on prosecutorial misconduct. He calls that deposition extraordinary.
This prosecutor has a terrible reputation for truthfulness, has a terrible reputation for doing the right thing. I've never really seen that before, where a person in the office talking about a current employee says such things about that employee's conduct, that employee's conduct is so horrendously bad. And yet that prosecutor is still a prosecutor.
Gershman says prosecutors are rarely held accountable, and prosecutors know it.
Why aren't they held accountable? Because I think that will be the most baffling part for our viewers. They're going to be sitting there going, are you kidding me? Why isn't this being addressed?
Well, prosecutors are very, very powerful people. And so you're asking lawyers and bar groups to investigate and discipline very powerful people. So there's a political element to this.
Gershman says only New York has a special commission to investigate troubled prosecutors. The rest of the United States struggles. It's a struggle Temple feels every day, fighting to remove the stain of felon from her name.
Our fitting room is open.
She works in a clothing boutique owned by her daughter.
What size do you need?
She has harsh words for Moorhead and others who kept her in power.
Why are you allowing her? Why do you keep on letting her do the things she's doing? That's why she became such a big monster. You got to feed the monster. Well, be excited.
She says no matter what it says on paper, she knows the truth and who she really is.
I'm Latasha Denise Temple. I'm 49. I'm not a drug dealer.
The U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment on this report, saying they won't discuss personnel matters. We also attempted to connect with Moorhead, but never heard back. Angie Riccono, KCTV5 News.